I'd ask you to come in, but you're already here. It's really good.
Just tell me one thing, Zagreus. Did you really mean what you told me before, that maybe we ought to take our time?
I just don't mean to push you, Than. I know all this is kind of a lot. And I wanted you to know this isn't some impulsive thing for me. I'll wait for you however long it takes.
Right?
Than. Oh, you're right. Hey, Than. Look, speak up already. I don't like it when you're quiet for too long. What's on your mind?
A lot of things, and you will have to go like it, Zag. Or what I mean is, don't take my silence the wrong way, all right? I better get going, though. I'm way behind on work, but see you again, if that's all right.
It is. It is.
Nyx is the night herself, her twin sons, sleep and death. But you? I cannot think of anything I fear, except the god of talking back to me.
I'm sure you almost forget that's where you go for work.
What can I say? It's different. I never stay up there for very long. Don't think I could. It starts making me feel ill. Too many sensations all at once. And when the chariot of Helios is in the sky, it gets so bright that I can barely see.
That sounds awful. If it's that bad, why would all the Olympians chat it up so much?
There's no accounting for their taste, I guess.
Right there.
Saw Thanatos again lately here, boss. And I want to tell you, almost looked as though he cracked a smile when he mentioned you. Never seen anything like that with him.
But I didn't really get to know her until after the whole humiliating affair with Sisyphus.
Oh, right. You got stuck in Tartarus after that, under Meg's personal supervision. So you bonded over your shared disdain for Sisyphus?
We each had to blow off some steam, yes. That was some of the hardest I ever worked back then, and her too, I think. When you go through something like that with someone, it brings you closer, I suppose.
I know what you mean.
I've really gotten pretty far out there if you could get me one of these, so wow. And thanks for stopping by.
You lighten up my numerous untimely deaths, Hypnos.
Hey, there you are. So is it true? You know, about you and Thanatos? Because he told me and I just said, whoa, but then everything made sense?
I'm sure whatever it is he said is completely true. Yes, Hypnos.
Whoa.
Hey, you're in good with Thanatos, isn't that right? A real broody sort. Sometimes I think maybe I ought to just invite him to a feast, but then what if he cools the whole thing down, makes everybody kind of you know?
You and Thanatos don't work together much anymore, do you, Meg?
No, though he still brings me my assignments every now and then.
Oathbreakers, traitors, and the like. Sending them straight to Tartarus, huh? Must be quite an experience going from living and breathing to being dead to being whisked off by Thanatos straight to you and your whip.
If that's not the experience mortals are looking for, they need only keep their oaths and not betray the ones they're closest to. It's not that hard.
You'd think.
It is my understanding that you have grown rather close with Thanatos, my kin. A perfect choice of mate, though I confess I'd not expected Death to have affection for another save himself.
Thanatos. I'll take you up on that if I can think of anything anytime soon. But my, you've grown. I understand you've been looking after my son in the meantime.
Your son, he is very capable of looking after himself, it turns out. Although I try to be there just in case. Though I must beg your pardon, Queen. Someone awaits me on the surface now.
I know how mortals hate waiting around.
Ooh.
so my heart tells me that you've developed quite the bond with moody Thanatos, haven't you there? I always figured that his brooding quality was just an act.
I always fancied Thanatos, you know. So put together and everything. I'm pleased to see you've grown so close. Things good between you two?
They are. Thank you, Mother. Just giving you a nudge. Than, what's your relationship with Ares on Olympus? I know he deals in death himself, but his approach seems rather different from your own.
I do not care for his approach at all, but he has been professionally courteous with me. More than I can say for most of your Olympian relatives, I suppose.
You mean the rest of the Olympians don't treat you well?
Discounting Hermes, I should say, the rest of them have nothing much to do with me at all. I can imagine why. I know it's complicated with your father here. But as for Ares, I think he's all right.
Disturbingly all right.
Solution to the matter, as you called it, with my son. Well, it is settled now. Isn't it, boy?
I mean, you're still trying just as hard as ever to prevent me from escaping past the threshold of your realm, so I don't know if I'd exactly call the matter settled. But it does feel different now.
And so you see, I would continue in our mutual good graces, if you please. This house can only function if the upper management is in accord.
I say you honor me, my lord. I appreciate you telling me yourself, and I concur that for the good of all the underworld, it is imperative that each of us continue to perform at our full strength.
Then, as you were, dismissed.
Interesting texture.
I have to tell you something, lad. When Thanatos returned to seek you out, I was very concerned. Not just for you, either. But you've since patched things up.
I think so. I hope so. It was complicated for a while there, but I think things are clearer for us now. Not just in the moment, but in retrospect. I'm not making any sense.
Oh, on the contrary. I think I know exactly what you mean. I don't know Thanatos particularly well. Wasn't he who brought me here, you see. And he was always very busy, like your father. But he always struck me as a decent sort.
He is.
Just catching up on things with Megara here, Zag.
We were just talking about you, Zagreus.
Oh.
Hey, Zag.
Hi, you two.
Zagreus, you don't have any doors. Why are you always so surprised?
Meg, Than, what are you two? What's going on? Whatever it is, I can explain. Oh, wait, you're both smiling. Oh, let me just take this in a moment here.
It's Zag. We've known each other longer than you've been alive.
I'd say we know quite a bit by now, all things considered. Isn't that right, Megara?
Can't you see we're off duty right now, Zagreus?
Huh, well then. If this turns out to be some sort of dream, I will be very, very mad. Though, I guess there's one good way to find out. Oh. Whew, well now, where was I?
Well, I think we've reached an understanding here. I should be off. Until the next one, Zag. And Thanatos.
Bye, Zag.
Phew, well, that was...
With old Master Thanatos of late, Prince said, is he at least less stern with you than with the poor mortals he's sent to take in here?
Well, Thanatos is doing all right. Much like my father, I think he feels he has some sort of fearsome reputation to uphold. Or maybe he's perpetually stressed over his work. But he's been well lately.
That's good, I guess. Always appreciated that he ultimately took me in, rather than having to show up here through much more sudden, much more painful means. Didn't stop me from trying to avoid the trip, of course.
Sings Queen Persephone. Your son and I, we always were quite close. But through all this ordeal, we've become rather inseparable, I think.
Well, I can see he has better taste than I do, Thanatos. I have a sense of how industrious you are. You just take care of yourself, please. And take care of each other too, all right?
As you will, Queen. I mean, all right.
All right.
There's nothing you cannot.
Hey, just how far are you able to shift anyway, Than? I never could go more than a blade's length in front of me, while you're out there skipping across the entire world, probably.
Most of it, yes. Don't beat yourself up, though, Zagreus. It's a practiced skill, but I've apparently been able to do it since birth. Mother Nyx says I was a real handful.
I can see that.
Through the house contractor, Zagreus. Didn't take you for an agent of the fates.
Turns out I'm full of surprises, Thanatos. Though the 3 fates are your sisters, aren't they? Surprised you didn't requisition the list yourself.
Guess it just wasn't meant to be. Though, I don't know them at all. Keep only to themselves somewhere. Sometimes I wonder whether everything really is preordained, or whether they're making all this up as they go.
I can hazard a guess.
Hey! Welcome to the House of Hades. Just come on in.
Oh, hi. Hey, I saw you in Thanatos recently, Prince. You two, if you don't mind me saying, you are quite the pair. I mean, you ought to see yourselves. You're... makes me a little woozy just remembering it now. Well, up I go then. Bye!
Bye? Guess everybody knows.
Always led a solitary life. He never would complain of it, and yet, I know he yearned for closeness in his way.
Thank you, Nyx. I think we each have harbored feelings for each other for some time. We've finally been true about them.
Then in this, you each achieved what you desired. I ask that you take care of my dear son. I often fear that he shall work himself too hard.
Oh, he's all right. Though I'll be sure to keep an eye on him.
Then very well.
Eluding me. Death can be most unpleasant, as I'm sure you know.
Well, that's just it, Master Thanatos. I never was terribly fearful of you gods, if you'll forgive my saying so. Far as I can tell, all of you seem to have your struggles much like mortals do. A fear of death aside.
What would you know of the struggles of gods? Now you have eternity to think on what you've done. Maybe I'll check again with you after another eon or two, see if you've learned anything more.
Bye, Than.
Hey, hey. Prince Zed, just missed your stern-faced colleague. Feel that stillness hanging in the air? Sounds like he won't be checking up on me again anytime soon.
Thanatos really isn't such a bad sort once you get to know him, sir. Though I suppose you'll have to take my word for that.
Oh, I believe it, Highness. I should think that bringing death must be a lonely job. Perhaps he ought to try pushing a boulder sometime.
Oh, no.
Your mother's very clever, Zagreus. I always thought you got that from your father. Now I'm not so sure. So all is well with the Olympians again?
For now, I think it is. But you know how they are. How we all are, I guess.
Huh. Yes, indeed. Well then, I guess enjoy it while it lasts, as mortals sometimes say. I'll see you out there.
Bye, Than. Really seems to know the inner workings of this place.
I correspond with Charon all the time, but even I don't know the full extent of his responsibilities. He's an independent contractor of sorts, been here forever. Your father gives him plenty of space to work.
He must be compensated pretty well for having done this for so long, tending the influx of new souls and all of that.
I doubt he's in it for the compensation, Zagreus. There is no underworld without Charon. I think he knows that, and your father knows it too.
I never thought of it like that. Are we good? I mean, between us. Any infuriating habits I should know about, that sort of thing?
You know I don't have time to list all your infuriating habits, Zagreus. Though, if any of them were outside my usual tolerance threshold, I promise to let you know. All right?
So then we're good. Because I think we're good, but I just wanted to make sure.
We're good. See you, all right?
Good.